Hey,
Hey.
hey, Kathy, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
I understand that you are very much against the slogan of 22 a day for veterans committing suicide. And I would just like a little bit of clarity, because I just don't understand it.
The question is, where did they get that number from?
Well, they did a study and everybody's talking about it. It's online, Facebook, whatever. They did a study that said on average 22 veterans a day commit suicide. And I just...
Who did the study?
From what I understand, the government, VA, someone did.
VA didn't say 22 a day.
No.
The VA said it's 21 states, limited data, should not be taken as a whole, should not be taken as the just definite number. So the question is, why are you angry about it?
But they actually did a study and they released it, and it says on that.
It's about 50 some odd pages long. The people that are screaming 22 a day, grab that from a reporter's headline. Okay? It's not 22 a day.
So you're saying people just heard that number, that arbitrary number, and just said, well, run with it, but it's more than that. Why is it more than that?
It's more than that because you've got some states that there were only, I think it was 21 states that actually tracked veteran suicides.
Wow.
Okay. You've got the largest population of veterans that do not even go to the VA, so they're not in the VA system either.
Okay.
Okay. You've got California just passed legislation last year to track suicides. They have 2.5 million veterans. Illinois just passed legislation last year to have their veterans added military service to the justice systems. They have 700,000. You don't have veterans that have anything other than an honorable discharge included in those numbers because they're not counted as veteran.
Oh, so a veteran who got wrote out for maybe something to do with PTSD or along those lines wouldn't be counted in that, even though he did see, action on foreign soil.
Vietnam veterans, there were 200,000. Now you've got some veterans, even in the younger generation that had 3, 4, the multiple deployments. 3, 4, 5. They ended up doing substance abuse, drinking and drugs, get in trouble because they're self-medicating because military basically feeds that stigma of you're mentally weak if you get PTSD because of all this comprehensive soldier fitness they're doing.
Yeah, I understand that.
You can train your brain to be mentally tough, which is telling these guys, they're hearing, I'm mentally weak if I get PTSD.
Right.
They don't know, I'm a survivor. I survived it. There is nothing to be ashamed of.
Yeah, that's true. What about, how about just using the number 22 just as a number, something to bring awareness to the cause?
Why would you want to do that?
To bring awareness to the cause, wouldn't that be a positive thing?
No, it's a negative thing.
How so?
Because you're at, let's say, okay, you don't have any hope left. And you hear about all these veterans committing suicide. Does that give you any hope back?
No.
Okay, so all it's doing is depleting your gas tank. It is taking you into hopelessness territory, where you're stuck, you're not going anywhere. You get an empty tank, you're not going anywhere.
Right.
Okay? Now, if you hear something about you can take your life back, you can take control of your life, you can heal, you're into full tank of hopefulness.
Okay.
Okay? So otherwise, you're stuck. You have nothing to hope for. But if you hear veterans coming out with positive information,
Right.
okay, I am a survivor. I personally, not a veteran, I've survived death multiple times. I refuse to see myself as a victim. I'm not. I'm a survivor.
True. I do see your point because as a veteran myself, a rating of 100% for PTSD, I have survived death several times myself.
Yeah.
And I look at those numbers, that number, and it looks staggering. But then I do go and I see people and I participate in veterans functions for this, that, and whatever. And it does look inflated. That number does not look inflated enough to represent at least a small group of people out
This is happening to all the NATO nations. Actually, it's happening around the world. Okay. Vietnam veterans came back and fought for all the research.
Right.
Okay, here's an eye-opener for you. World War I. First psychiatrist is better with the troops. World War I. That's how long this has been going on. World War II. More psychiatrists went. Psychiatric evacuations went up 300%.
Wow.
300%. Okay? You think it's just a new thing, it's not. Okay? In Korea, they tried something different. Clinicians went out with the troops. And as soon as they started showing mental distress, they were treated immediately and either sent back home or treated and sent back to duty.
Right.
Okay? Vietnam, they did that kooky thing in DROS, which is 1-year deployment. By the time those guys figured out, I got problems, they were back stateside.
Right.
And if the DOD was ready to discharge them and ask them, you got any problems? They said, oh, hell no. They just wanted to go home.
Right.
Okay? Good thing is that a few years ago, there were 148,000 Vietnam veterans sought help for PTSD for the first time. The other eye-opener is, it's not the younger generations committing all the suicides. The known suicides have been over 50%, and that age group is over 50 years old.
Holy cow.
And these new groups wanted nothing to do with you, but if they had read the goddamn reports, they would have seen the biggest need is in the older generation.
So the older I get, and I'm
The older
right
you get.
there at the almost at the 50-year frame.
Right.
The older I get, the more I'll fit into that group. That's
Yes. The good thing is, though, is that you are in therapy.
right.
You know, you're being treated for it. Okay. PTSD stops getting worse as soon as you start getting treatment. It starts losing hold of you. You are starting to take your power back.
True.
If you do not treat it, it continues to get worse.
But see, there are bad days, even through treatment.
Always.
And when I have a bad day, I like to go in and see my other fellow veterans who are, say, they're suffering, maybe not the exact same issues that I'm having, and probably not from Desert Storm like I'm from. More often than not, actually, they're Vietnam veterans that I get along with better than people my own age. So it's kind of like, going with the, having to do like travel with cars to span a generation.
Right.
The generation before me were Vietnam veterans, and before them was Korean and World War II veterans. I like the spanning the generation from the Vietnam veteran to current, and then actually from then my generation to the Iraq and Afghan vets that are coming home now.
And your generation is now the largest percentage of veterans. Because, this is the other thing that all these 22-a-day screamers don't talk about.
Right.
1999, we had over 5 million more veterans living in the country at the time because, the veteran population aged and died. Okay? All right. It was 20 a day. The known suicides the VA knew about. There was this chart in that research that they had done that they published. There was a chart in there with the age groups.
Right.
And by year. Okay? All right. In this particular chart, it has remained about 20 a day. Now, after all these years of all this awareness and, we're raising awareness, veterans are committing suicide. Guess what? We're down over 5 million veterans. You guys are still double the civilian rate of suicides. And, oh, by the way, it's still known about 20 a day.
So we're getting incredibly lowballed as far as awareness. Everybody wants to help veterans, and that's fantastic. But
is it helpful?
No, obviously it's not, because the numbers are incorrect.
It's not. There were two celebrity suicides back to back.
Right.
Calls to suicide prevention hotline skyrocketed because it was like a trigger.
Right.
Someone loses hope. They hear about somebody that has apparently everything committing suicide. It's like a trigger. okay? Yes, we do have to talk about suicides, but the conversation can't end there. We can't just end with, oh, somebody saying, well, it's just a number, so that people get awareness. I'm sorry, if people don't have a fucking clue,
Right.
there's suicides happening, especially police officer suicides, and members of law enforcement. You've got firefighters, you've got EMTs, you've got taxi drivers,
Right.
you've got farmers, you've got teenagers, you've got every group of people. The suicides have gone up in this country, but the worst thing is when you guys thought life was so valuable, you were willing to die to save somebody else, but you can't save your own life. That's the biggest eye opener right there.
Maybe another thing we can try and do is, like I had mentioned, try to bridge a gap between the Vietnam veterans and use that as a bridge.
Yeah,
Maybe we can, and raise awareness that way.
yeah.
Maybe we can help and build a bridge from the celebrities, the well-knowns, the movie stars, the singers, the this, that, and the other, that where everybody idolizes.
Yeah.
And we can bridge that gap to the veterans, the people who make sure that the celebrities can be noticed, that the music can be heard, and the instruments can be bought.
Yeah,
And we would have places to do that.
Yeah.
We should bridge that gap from there and just, bridge it and keep it. I mean, suicide is a horrible thing.
it is.
It's a damaging thing on on society, families, friends, and loved ones. And I'm not saying suicide by this individual or that individual is better or worse, because they're all equally just shitty. But let's not stop at them. Let's not stop at this group. Let's not stop at that group. Let's stop when we include everybody.
I mean, PTSD patrol, like I said, I'm a survivor since I was 5. It's a big long story, but anyway. I know what it's like to survive. Okay, I actually had an argument with a veteran one day, and he goes, what the hell do you know? You're not a combat vet. I said, what the hell do you know? You didn't live through what I did.
I think it was
And he was like challenging me. So I ran down the list.
It's green flag.
I said, now, can you understand anything I went through? He said, no. I said, but guess what? He said, what? I said,
They might
you
not
understand what it did to you. I don't understand what it did to you. I don't need to have been there,
Right.
but I can understand what it did to you. So let's talk about it that way.
There are, there are times, like I said, I have good days and bad days in treatment. I've had treatment for quite some time.
Yeah.
There are times that, and a lot of veterans, they mistake treatment for just willy-nilly hanging out with other vets and having a couple of beers.
Yeah.
And they think that is treatment because they're voicing it. But they're not receiving, and they're not receiving the help and the tools to do this. And I felt right to those, or to that manner of treatment. And a few years ago, several years ago actually, I had done that, and I had got into a very, very bad car accident, where it was me and my girlfriend at the time. And I don't understand how I walked away from it.
Yeah.
But that's what I was doing. I was hanging around other people who I thought had, ears to hear what I had to say, and then self-medicating with alcohol.
Yep.
And it happened. It was a milestone for me. But at the same time, I did have to ask myself a few times, why didn't I just get thrown through the window? But it was right after that I figured out that I needed to go seek rehab.
Yep. Yeah, peer support is wonderful. Peer support actually works best, but it depends on how much the one giving the support knows versus the one needing the support.
Right.
Okay. You need to know that somebody gets it, they understand it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and that's part of what PTSD control is all about. It's changing the damn conversation. It's clearing the
So how
road.
long y'all let down for?
Getting away from,
How long y'all let
like I
down
said,
for?
hopelessness. Because that's the only reason people want to commit suicide.
And I did, at that point in time in my life, I did have a hopelessness. Shortly after, when I did go and seek actual help professionally, took care of myself and started becoming a better person. So, there's also that bridge to do as well.
You guys are absolutely positively fabulous because every single time, most of the veterans I get, because I'm really busy and they know that, but usually I get them, they have suicide. It takes probably about 5-6 phone calls. There's no money. It's my time and expertise and stuff like that, okay? As soon as they start feeling better, what's the first thing they want to do?
Oh.
Help other veterans.
And I do. And
You guys are just fabulous.
I do. I would love to help, and I have helped.
Yeah.
At least I feel I have.
Yeah.
And they feel as well.
Yeah.
There's several local veterans around here that I've talked to and I've given my card to
Yeah.
and my number and
Yeah.
talked about because I don't want to see what's happening with this generation.
Yeah.
Desert Storm, Iraq, Afghanistan vets, with what happened to the Vietnam veterans. And actually, to be honest with you, what happened to Korea
Yeah.
in World War II, World War I, and so on, where they just dismissed it as things of sunstroke or shell shock or some other kind of crappy old.
Get over it.
Right.
Get over it. You
Because-
survived it, get over it. That's what they told the Vietnam
Because
generation.
that's what I always thought when I got home. I always thought that I was a strong enough man that I could handle this by myself.
You were strong enough to have survived it. That's the thing that you keep missing.
Right.
That should be hard.
And I found that out through actual therapy.
Yeah.
I was strong enough to survive it. But in my mind at the time, I was strong enough that I could lick this myself. I could do it. I could beat it down, my demons and whatnot. But it was going to finally seek help, professional up through the VA, other counselors, whatnot, to where my strength is still there.
Yeah.
There's, I'm still just as strong as I
Yeah.
was back then.
Yep.
But there's just a few.
Actually, you're even stronger.
True. I
Even
do see
stronger.
that.
This is one hell of a fight to take control of your life again. There's things that you are not going to be able to reverse. But there's tools that you're learning through therapy and everything else to cope with. And there's some medications you can be on for what you cannot do. But the rest of it, that's all in your control. So you are actually stronger now.
Well, just like bodybuilding, you need to start with obviously, the 5-pound weights before
Yeah.
you move to the 10, before you move to the. I was a strong man
Yeah.
before. I don't believe, I thought that I was weakened. Come to find out I'm not.
No.
And I'm actually turning out to be a stronger man.
Yeah.
A good role model
Yeah.
for my 3 daughters, my granddaughter, a better brother to my brother,
Yeah.
a better sister to my sister, and a better son to my parents.
You can understand something. Okay. PTSD hits survivors, period.
Yes.
Okay? All right. Nothing weak about being a survivor. It hit you, it had nothing to do with you being weak. You survived. That's strength. Okay? It hits the emotional part of your brain. That's where your soul lives. The stronger you feel emotional bond to humanity, the stronger it hits you, because most of the time, you're walking away from trauma not just worrying about yourself, but other people. Okay? You're taking that whole load on. So the stronger you feel the good stuff, the stronger you're going to feel the pain. But on the reverse side, when you start healing,
Right.
the stronger you felt that pain before you started healing, the stronger you're going to feel the good stuff all over again.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
To seeing, my kids grow up
Yeah.
and my granddaughter. It was amazing. Seeing my granddaughter born was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
But then to watch my kids get born when I think about it was great too.
Yeah.
But it both were incredibly enjoyable on their own paths.
Yeah.
So, I do see that. And I see myself being a stronger person now than I was before I went and actually sought help.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. So.
And after this, you have just joined the road crew. You get a t-shirt.
A t-shirt.
You get a t-shirt. You have just joined the road crew.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so very
Because
much.
you took back your life and now you're going to show others how to do it too.
I most certainly will.
Clear the road, baby. You're coming through. Come here.
Thank you very, very much.
Mwah.